One of the things that I think is really important here is that this Aboriginal culture in Australia is the longest living culture in the world. This is something that is a triumph. The people that we are dealing with are the continuers of that legacy. They haven't given it up. It's still here. It's still doing things. And so it's really important that we, who are from a different tradition, recognise that tradition, ask questions, be prepared to understand that they know a great deal more about it than we do.
With my grandfather, when he passed away, we had the funeral in a place where he wanted, but a lot of community members didn't like that. They wanted him to be buried in town while he was cremated, and he wanted his ashes spread at Riley Tank where he grew up. It was never written. He'd never gotten a will. But Mum said, no, this is what Dad wanted and this is what we're going to do.
My name's Phil Duncan. I'm an Aboriginal man from the Northwest Slopes and Plains of New South Wales, and my nation is the Gomeroi Nation, and my traditional homelands are that of Terry Hi Hi and Moree. When sorry business hits families, it hits communities, because we look upon our not just our immediate families, but we also have these extended families and the sense of belonging to very strong communities through our cultural values, our songlines, our dreaming, our connection to country. The impacts of sorry business can be profound. We as Aboriginal people need to think seriously about penning wills and thinking about our loved ones, our immediate families, our extended families, those that we take responsibility for raising and become part of our families. Not leaving a clear and concise map of how those assets need to be distributed and who is the lead in responsible person, the executor of the estate, can create anger, angst and concern and dysfunctionality in relationships and family breakdowns.
I'm Amy Sagar. I'm the General Manager of Tender Illawarra in Sydney, which is where we are right now. Leaving the space open for communities to tell us what their needs are. Everyone's needs are so unique. It depends where people have come from and where their country is, because all of those different areas have different cultural practices and different needs.
My name's Prue Vines and I'm a professor at the University of New South Wales Law School, and I specialise in issues to do with Indigenous people and succession law or inheritance law. The first diagram is actually a diagram showing my own family. This is a traditional Western view of kinship. So there's me in the middle with my spouse. You see that I have children below. My sister next to me has children who are my nephew and niece, and so on. And then the second diagram is an example using exactly the same bloodlines. So it's still my family, but it is what an Indigenous person in some groups, this is actually one version of an Aranda kinship structure, what they would call the same people in their own kinship grouping. You'll see that we have me again with my spouse and him, my 3 children. So that looks the same. And next to me is my sister. But if we look at the people that previously we called her children, we'll see that for me they are called child and child. So because she's my same-sex sibling, I regard her children as also my children, and she does the same. I am mother to her children and she is mother to my children, and so that obligation of mother exists in all those cases. So if either of us died, that would mean that those children had lost their mother, and the mother had obligations to them, and what they receive and the way they are treated is all about the children's mother.
But unless you've actually had that conversation, you really don't know what that actual person wants to happen afterwards. They may have wanted to be off country and with a family member or a partner that they've lived away from, or they may have wanted to be cremated rather than buried, or buried rather than cremated. You really need to sort of have that conversation earlier on, the better, so that you get it right.